You're listening to the Plain Talking UK podcast, the UK-based podcast written by a passenger for anyone. And here are your hosts, Carla Stebbings, Matt Smith and Neville Bounds.
Well, hello and welcome to episode number 192 of the Plain Talking UK podcast. I'm Carl Stebbings, and joining me not in the kitchen studio this week, because none of us are in the kitchen studio this week.
No.
Because due to a slight technical problem with the
kitchen studio,
yes, line,
absolutely.
the phone line in the kitchen studio house at PTUK HQ, we have changed locations. And for those of you watching in the YouTube video, will be able to see behind me a rather large, beautiful converted 17th century, Matt?
17th century, yes.
17th century barn.
Indeed.
So it's all very beamy,
absolutely.
and what you can't see is that the roof is incredibly tall behind me.
And there's a reason for why we're mentioning that, because we do actually, it's about half an hour before we went live, we've developed a small problem in the fact that one of the smoke alarms, because we're very good here and we have smoke alarms, one of the smoke alarms is actually at the top there, but it is literally, unless you're Owen and a monkey and you can climb up stuff, we're not getting hold of it. So apologies that there is going to be a little beep that appears every now and again. So yes, welcome to my office, basically.
This is Matt's
This is where
workplace.
I work now. This is my new workplace here here in Bungay. So we're still in Bungay. We've only moved up the road.
About a mile down the road.
But yes, this is in a little place. If I put on the wide shot, you'll see, because we're doing a little shameless plugging for my new boss, and that is Sarah Brown Cards. Look, there we go. So that is buy cards. And we do have a new US website and a UK website, by the way, as well. But we'll talk about that later. That's fine. Yeah.
Yes. So welcome everyone
to the barn.
Yeah, welcome to the barn. What you can't actually see behind me, where those windows are behind me there, you can see just behind me there's black dark, because it is dark here.
It is, yes.
Behind there is a lovely river that flows behind here, which is in the summertime is incredibly nice to sit next to.
Absolutely.
And me and Matt were talking earlier before we started the show, and I think in the summertime we might
we'll
do a live show from outside here near the river,
alongside the River Waveney.
Yeah,
absolutely. But,
so welcome everyone who's joined us in the YouTube chat room tonight. A big welcome to everyone. Loads of names in there. All the usual listeners, I should say, joining us in the YouTube chat room. It is it's the 24th November, and it's 13 minutes past 7. And we're going to say a massive welcome, as always, to our other host of the show, and he is waiting in the wings. Well, not here, but he's waiting at the NevTech Studios.
Yes, absolutely. Where he's not having technical problems.
No, he's not having. Nev will never have technical problems.
No, that is true. Yes, absolutely.
Honestly, there could be a nuclear explosion, and Nev would never. It'd still be broadcasting.
He'd never fall offline. Yeah,
so it gives us great pleasure, as always, to welcome onto the show Mr. Neville Bounds.
Hello, gents, and great to be with you. And that looks a very salubrious location, actually.
I know, isn't it?
That might be a very good location for future shows as well. I like the look of that very much.
Absolutely. Well, we do actually have a much larger area downstairs. So actually, all jokes aside, if ever we
can't
do,
see behind me there.
Yeah, because we're actually upstairs in my little office. So if there was we could do a much bigger. Yes, that's right. We just had an email from Pip, I think, involving a video segment. That's why all our phones are all going off. But I ain't adding that now.
But we also have a special guest host with us this evening, and she's here. She's here with a few other people actually in the background there, we might add. But no, we have got the Miss World winner 2017.
Yes.
We've stolen her.
I assume, obviously, she has the crown for next year.
She will win next year as well.
Yeah. Of course,
so we're going to welcome onto the show, and we've stolen her from Jeff and everyone.
No, borrowed.
Stolen.
You don't have to make it sound like a crime every time, honestly.
Okay. So welcome onto the show, Dr. Steph.
Hello, Carlos and Matt and Nev. Great to be back with you guys. I don't know about stolen. I think I came willingly.
Right.
Sorry, Jeff.
How rude. Indeed. It's always a pleasure to have you on, my dear.
Yes.
Thank you.
And I have to say, Steph, the hair is looking awesome.
Oh, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Now, those of you who were perhaps watching earlier before we started recording the show, you might actually notice that sorry, Jeff Braithwaite is suggesting we throw a rock at the smoke detector to stop it from chirping, which is always but you do have a special guest with you in the studio there, actually, don't you? This sort of popped up a moment ago.
Do I?
Yeah, it's very small and furry.
Oh, well,
Small and
yeah,
furry.
Small special guest. I don't know where he went now. He
No, okay.
disappeared.
Oh, well.
Oh no, he's over on the other side of the desk.
Oh, fair
Yes, my
enough.
dog Taco is here. I'm sure he will be making
Yay.
several guest appearances throughout the show as he runs back and forth. So
Indeed.
Excellent. Well, thank you for joining us, Steph.
Indeed.
Because I know,
my pleasure.
you're obviously very
Quite busy at the moment,
be-
yes.
because
Yes.
you've got something rather big planned for very soon. Tell us a bit about that.
yeah, so for those of you not in the U.S., it was our big Thanksgiving holiday yesterday. So actually off of work today, as it's also Black Friday. But I did not partake in any of the crazy shopping stuff that goes on this day. Instead, I actually came over here to Atlanta, Georgia, or the Atlanta area, and I'm actually at First Officer Dana's house right now. And the reason for that is because for the APG Airline Pilot Guy Show tomorrow, we're going to be having our 300th episode. Pretty big deal. We're pretty excited about it, doing some preparation, and looking forward to a great time with that tomorrow.
Yeah,
Excellent.
Big stuff,
Yeah.
isn't it? Very exciting.
So, is it going to be a live show, Steph? Are you going live for this one?
Yeah, I'm sure we're doing a live show. I'm not exactly sure what time we're going to start. I think sometime around 1 o'clock.
Who's that
Someone
bearded
else.
fellow? Who is that bearded
It's Father
fellow?
Christmas. He's arrived
Father
early. What
Christmas.
good news! Santa has arrived
Santa
early. I'm
has
so
arrived.
happy. What a real treat!
Merry Christmas.
Indeed, absolutely.
And it smells from the mall down the street.
Oh, look, I'll tell you, it's amazing who you find in places like Atlanta, isn't it? You know,
He's just hanging around.
hanging around.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just drifted in on the breeze.
loitering.
Right. Okay.
He drifted in
rather
on.
noisily on an ancient Boeing 767.
I was going to say, how was the flight, Nick? Was it reasonable?
Dare I
Let's
ask?
just say it was basic.
Okay. Which
And
may I
the
ask which
landing
airline it was?
Probably best termed an arrival.
Oh no. May I ask which airline it was, sir?
I'm allowed to say because no one I know works for them. It was Delta.
Oh, they're not
that's
a
good
bad
news.
airline.
Okay,
Yeah,
right.
they're not a bad
Okay,
airline.
yeah, absolutely.
It has to be one of the slowest flights I've ever been on, but there you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, steam powered. It's always the way forward. I'm a fan of.
Running coal.
Actually,
Yeah.
I have to point out that at the end of the APG show, it does say that if it ain't Boeing, you ain't going. That they are your words.
Misquote, fake news.
I never listened to the end of the show.
Okay.
Can we say that?
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to be a real sad person to listen to the very end of the show.
That's me.
Yeah. There is
Every
there is-
week.
I should just say, actually, in the chat room here, there is some technical advice coming in from Captain Jeff that says, "Tell Steph to unplug, plug her mic."
There we go. You got
So-
bits.
Made a whole bunch of noise the last time I did it.
Yeah,
Well,
that's all right.
fine.
It's only our
That's
end.
fine.
It's fine.
Just a bit of
No,
crackling.
Captain Jeff, this is not a good setup that I have here right now because I threw it together last minute. So you're going to have to deal with whatever
Okay.
audio.
I think it was probably my input that messed things up.
He says it's a
Leave it to
USB
it.
thing. I don't know. Anyway,
You've got something, Steph, that we love to have with our roast pork dinners on a
It's
Sunday,
actually-
which is crackling.
crackling. Yes. Oh, and now
And
they've
now
fallen.
she's gone.
Okay. Okay. This is.
That's good.
Oh, good. Right.
It was
you
Nick.
still there, Nev?
Oh, yes.
Oh,
Of
that's all right
course.
then. That's all right. I was just checking it wasn't our
with
end.
my,
That's-
dedicated fibre line all the way to East Anglia. Absolutely.
Well, absolutely.
well.
Yeah, indeed. Yes. Hardcore, working very well. Indeed.
It's nice to see we have obviously we have got Captain Jeff in the chat room,
do.
and we also have Pilot Pip as well.
Oh, do we? Yes,
we do.
absolutely,
Yeah, we do. And
So anyway, I think whilst we wait for everything to come back on, I think we should perhaps crack on with the show.
yeah, so we are going to start the show then, as we do each week, with our rundown of the weekly news from around the world and the UK. So if you're ready, Matt,
I am indeed. Yes.
and if you're ready, Nev,
Totally.
and if you're ready, Steph, yeah, I'm ready. Let's go.
Ready.
So, kicking off this week's first news story, and this one is on the Telegraph Travel or telegraph.co.uk site. And the headline is, "This is the world's biggest airline but you're not allowed to fly it.
Oh.
So, spotting a cargo aircraft...
So it's BA then, right?
No, not BA, no. Spotting a cargo aircraft, that's the next story, often prompts a double take. Hang on, that plane has no windows. We're so used to seeing passenger jets milling around the tarmac at airports that when a sleek, cylindrical postal airliner rolls past, it comes as a bit of a shock. But those windowless planes are the key to a multi-billion-pound industry, an industry at which FedEx Express sits at the forefront, shifting some 15.7 billion tons, billion-ton kilometres of freight a year, more than double some of its rivals. Behind such a massive global operation are more fantastic numbers. FedEx's airline cargo division boasts a huge fleet of 691 aircraft, twice as many as Matt's favourite airline, Ryanair, and also 3 times as many as Nev's favourite airline, BA.
Right. Okay.
With its super hub at Memphis International, the company flies to more than 375 destinations. To put it in context, Turkish Airline, which flies to more countries than any other passenger airline, only serves 302. And it also transports around 5.5 million packages a day. Why me, FedEx? Well done. That's as if the entire population of Finland sent a parcel inside 24 hours. The cargo behemoth, founded in 1971, uses a number of international hubs in addition to Memphis, with European bases at Paris Charles de Gaulle, Malpensa, Milan and Cologne, Bonn, and also in the UK, FedEx Express has a base at Stansted Airport, from where it flies to Memphis 6 times a week, reaching, it claims, 99% of all US destinations overnight.
See, now I'm actually I have a story I can say about this, believe it or not, because recently, as many of you know, we were going over to New York to do a trade show there, and our stuff was actually coming out of Stansted. One of the things that blew us away, and I do mean literally blew us away, is if you use the FedEx, not FedEx, sorry, this was actually UPS, because they've also got a base at Stansted as well. And basically, if they collect your parcel on Tuesday, it will be in New York on Wednesday. That's what they claim.
That's amazing, yeah.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, I was literally like, yeah, whatever. So we actually made sure that it arrived on the day before we needed it, just in case there were problems and stuff. And I kid you not, it was picked up here on the Monday morning. No, let me rephrase that. It was picked up here at 1 p.m. on Monday, and it was actually in New York, in our hotel, Tuesday lunchtime.
That is fast.
I mean, I couldn't.
I thought Amazon Prime was quick.
I genuinely couldn't get over it. And I mean, it was just. I just thought. I mean, it was faster than people. I mean, it was faster than trying to get people to New York. It was ridiculous. But and again, it's because there's UPS I'm using as another example, obviously because other airlines are available. But so, just incredible. Just so fast.
We've got a story actually coming up about a fast aircraft later. Yeah. Okay. So FedEx has begun phasing out some of its older aircraft, replacing its Boeing 727s with more fuel-efficient 757s and swapping out its MD-11s for 777s on its long-range routes, allowing the MD-11s to take over from the DC-10. Despite its new additions, FedEx's overall fleet has an average age of 22 years. That's young, according to airfleets.net, compared to, say, EasyJet's, which has an average age of 6 years. The cargo airline has 110 757s with an average age of 25 years, 7 Airbus A310s with an average age of 30 years, and 38 McDonnell Douglas DC-10s with an average age of 39.6 years. Many cargo aircraft are decommissioned passenger jets, stripped and repurposed for carrying freight, with some given strengthened flight deck doors so that the crew is not crushed by its cargo in the event of a crash. Nice, yeah. FedEx's largest aircraft is the 777, capable of carrying 102 metric tons. The carrier says the planes run 6 direct routes, including Memphis to Dubai, Delhi to Paris, and back to Memphis. Likewise, if you have a few parcels going to Shenzhen,
I beg your pardon.
Memphis, Anchorage, Narita, and Incheon, you're in luck.
Easy for you to say.
And well, it's an awesome story. I mean, I've seen these obviously on Flight Radar 24, one of those awesome apps you use to watch aircraft flying around the skies at night across the UK. And I mean, what a huge fleet! I mean, I know Liz in the chat room actually says, I think she said that First Officer Craig actually aspires to fly. Yeah, he aspires to fly for FedEx.
Really?
So yeah, it's
wow.
and obviously we do know a certain APG host who's been a bit of aloof recently.
Yes, indeed.
Who flies for a cargo
a good word
carrier
for it.
as well.
Yeah, aloof. Yeah,
Aloof.
absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
missing in action. Yeah, bless. But no, incredible.
It is
really,
incredible
isn't it?
numbers,
Yeah.
incredible figures, yeah, and facts. And when you look at the picture as well, what Matt had up on the screen there just earlier of the 757s, they do look incredibly clean.
They do.
I will say.
Yeah, absolutely.
The
They may
aircraft.
be clean because of having photos taken. Of course, there is always that risk that it might have been polished for the cameras.
But it is amazing, like Matt said, it is amazing the fact that you
I
can
can't-
send stuff that fast.
I
across,
genuinely couldn't believe
across
it.
the
And I mean,
world.
it wasn't. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't the cheapest service in the entire world, but I can confirm that it was 380 quid to get. What was it? Nearly 100. What was it? 60, 120, 100, nearly 200 kilos worth of stuff, and it was sort of 380 quid. To get it from here to New York. I mean, it's so much cheaper than humans. So much cheaper than humans. I mean, I guess they don't need
Just
feeding and stuff.
Need to start sending ourselves this cargo.
Well,
basically.
I think to be fair, I mean, in the box one of the boxes that we sent, you could make quite a nice home, for sort of like the short. You're in the air for such a short. It's so direct. That's the crazy thing. I mean, they might be a little uncomfortable as they tip you up and down, and because they don't pay attention to fragile or anything like that on the box. Obviously,
Have you got any cargo carriers based near you, Steph, or at
based near me?
at the?
No, I mean there's cargo operations, but there's not. I don't think anyone's based there. It's not a big,
Hub
not
or
like
anything.
FedEx with Memphis or anything like that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I could be wrong on that. I'll have to double check and see, but not to my knowledge. So
I say because like for us, Stansted is a big base. I mean,
Yeah,
a lot,
Stansted is,
so
yeah.
much cargo
Cargo,
goes out
yeah.
of Stansted. It's just not too. In fact, I think if memory serves, the numbers are actually bigger for freight going out of Stansted than it is passengers.
Yeah.
I believe. But I obviously I stand correct. I'm prepared to be corrected on that.
So moving on to the next story, and it's a happy story, just for a change.
Right,
this week,
okay.
we'll be giving a Ryanair story, but it's a nice story.
I
think it is.
Is
anyway,
it? Okay,
personally,
all right.
yeah.
I'll take your word for that then,
Yeah.
shall I? So this is on joe.ie, which is an Irish website. I don't know who Joe is, but I'm sure he's
He's
lovely
friends with Owen.
Right, okay. It's not a very Irish name, it has to be said, because it's spelt normally,
Okay.
as where Owen is spelt weird. But anyway, sorry, Owen, I'm very sorry. Right, so anyway, so it's joe.ie is the website, and the headline is Ryanair to host. No, that's not right. Engineers wanted is where is the headline on this? Anyway,
You did have the headline there, actually.
Did I?
Yeah.
Oh, engineers wanted. Is that
No,
the headline?
Ryanair to host Dublin Open Day as they announced 200 new jobs.
Oh, okay, right. Sorry, you can tell I've had a couple of weeks off, can't you? Children?
Yeah,
I've
we
forgotten
can.
how to read and everything. So Ryanair will create 200 engineering jobs across Europe as it prepares to expand its fleet from 430 to 585 aircraft by 2024, with the introduction of the Boeing 737 MAX 20 set to take flight in 2 years' time. Interested parties should attend an open day this Thursday, November the 23rd, at the Maldron Hotel in Dublin Airport between 11 a.m. and 6 p.m. 2017 has been our busiest recruitment year to date, and we are continuing to invest heavily in talent for the future. Shame you didn't apply that to the pilots. Noted Chief People Officer Eddie Wilson. Ryanair is looking for highly skilled graduates with the opportunity to work on the youngest fleet in Europe. The full list of positions include technical services engineers, simulator engineering. What's that?
It's the simulators that the pilots use to train, and they obviously have to have
very
those looked after.
Technical standards and training, fleet planners, because the ones currently doing it aren't doing a very good job. Project engineers, graduate engineers, area supervisors, purchasing and materials, line maintenance, base maintenance, junior aircraft engineers. So
it's safe to say there's some good positions opening up with Ryanair.
Yeah, that is I don't know if that's the right word, but
Well, no, but I think a lot of the times when they have these kind of open days and stuff, I think people presume that it's just purely for pilots and cabin crew.
Yeah.
When there are other jobs within the aviation industry that are, as it says here, technical engineers and people who work on the ground with the aircraft, which is I kind of like. I'd like that kind of job. I think a bit of a
Indeed.
get your hands dirty. with some grease and stuff, and oil and stuff.
I don't want to do that information.
No,
I really don't. Okay.
So no, as Matt said, the open day was actually was yesterday. They had the open day.
Okay, that's not helpful.
No, but they are continuing to recruit.
So it's already too late, ladies and gentlemen. So
it's suddenly a non-story. It does. No, it does go on. They are continuing to recruit all the time. So they are. I suppose if you go to the Ryanair recruitment page, there must be one.
Well, that's true.
Somewhere that you can
absolutely.
apply for a job
there must be someone. I mean, as I say, I mean, I'm pretty sure there's probably worse people you could work for. Let's be honest. There's plenty of bad employers out there.
You'd be quite busy.
Ryanair is not one of them.
At least you wouldn't have to worry about learning different aircraft because you would be.
All the same, mind you. Well, no, because you've got the Max 200s as well, so there will be.
Oh, the Max 8s.
Max 8s. Sorry,
Ryanair are getting which are.
I knew it was a Max something.
Max, yeah.
All right, look, that's good enough for me. All right.
Actually, do you know what, Matt? I stood next to and went on board one of the Fly Dubai's Max 8s at the Airshow.
Listen to him name dropping here.
No, and I'll tell you what.
I've been to the Dubai Airshow.
if you honestly, Matt, if you stood next to him, unless you sort of didn't look at the engines and you just walked on board, you wouldn't notice hell of a lot of difference between that and a Dash 800. Yeah, yeah, they're very, very similar. Very similar. So moving on to the next story, and as always, it's a posh English story for Mr. Bones.
Oh. Yes, it is. But of course, as usual, there's some trouble with British Airways.
Oh, really? That's shocking.
This is actually written by Simon Calder, the travel correspondent of The Independent, someone who I'm hoping to interview soon.
Right, okay.
More news about that.
So it's safe to say he's usually a fairly reliable and informed source then?
He is. And he says that you're only buying the flying. That's the deal when you book a basic economy ticket on British Airways. To qualify for BA's lowest fares on domestic and European flights, you surrender the right to check in a bag and pre-select a seat. And from the 12th of December, you'll be the last to board the plane.
What?
On that day, BA brings in a group boarding system to further improve the customer journey, in inverted commas. Your boarding pass will be marked with a group number between 1 and 5. The priority enjoyed by elite grade frequent flyers and business class travellers, as well as families with young children, will continue. The significant change is in economy. Up until midnight on the 11th of December, for boarding purposes, all BA's economy passengers are created equal. But from the following morning, some will be less equal than others. Anyone who has a ticket from the cheapest category, basic economy, will be assigned to group 5. They will be the last to board, making what some have called a walk of shame along the aircraft aisle. If walk of shame seems a touch emotive to describe an airline's move to reward higher spending passengers, it is mooted compared with some of the backlash, which even invoke the Bible. So the rich shall be first, with the poor last, was one early response, adding, with apologies, to Matthew 2016. That's just after 8:15.
Oh, indeed, something like that, yeah.
Other helpful suggestions included, why not let the poor travel in the hold, along with, I hope the attendants also ring bells and yell, shame, 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 as you board. A minority took an opposing view, wondering why anyone would want to be inside a cramped aircraft cabin for a moment longer than necessary. Martin tweeted that he is positively looking forward to boarding last and gloating that everyone else paid more. I love the feeling of strolling on last and saying, hi, I'm here. Can we leave now? And then shattering the dreams of the person who thought that they'd got an empty seat next to them. That's actually quite true.
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
BA's decision to end free food and drink on European flights in economy class, which came into effect this year, generated similar passengers. Furious responses to straightforward commercial decisions might appear negative for BA, but in a market where short-haul air travel is so commoditized and competition so ferocious, I imagine BA will be heartened to see people care so much about its every move. It goes on a little bit, but basically they're trying to have a better way of boarding. But I've got to say, I do think that people like Lufthansa have got the right idea. where they seem, I don't know if it's still the case now, but they used to board all the window seats first, then all the aisle seats first, then all the middle seats first, then the aisle seats last from back to front. And that seemed to work quite well last time I flew them. But obviously this is all about status and how much you pay for the ticket and what your status is. So it'll be interesting to see whether people get more and more complaints about it.
Ladies and gentlemen, obviously we have a very active chat room, I'm pleased to say, this evening. So I'm going to throw the floor open to our chat room, I think. What is everyone's thoughts on said statement? We'll perhaps come back to that later. Yes. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, apologies for the pinging noise in the background. We do have a slight problem here because we are in a 17th century barn, and one of the batteries in the smoke alarm, which is beyond our reach, I'm afraid,
literally
has
beyond our reach
decided
here,
that it's had enough. So apologies. There is a little chirping noise in the background, of which there is nothing we can do about. So we know it's there, but I'm very sorry. I'm very sorry, we can't get at it.
But to make things a little bit better, we've obviously got Matt Caton in the chat room, and Matt is going to come. He's coming to our 200th show in at London at the
Very
Sim.
good.
And Matt is busy brewing a PTUK 200th show IPA.
Special ale. So if you're there,
ale.
you will be able to enjoy it. Yes, absolutely.
So moving on to the next story, and Dr. Steph, this one is especially for you.
Excellent. And of course, as you were coming over to me, I had a little notice on my screen that says your internet connection is poor. So
good.
I apologize if it's not sounding real great. Someone just wave at me.
Audio is brilliant.
Yeah, audio's is all fives currently, but we'll see what happens. Far away.
All right. So this story is from abcnews.go.com. It says, inside the Thanksgiving mad dash at Charlotte Douglas International Airport. So a local article for me here. More than 24 men and women circle up, their arms rotating behind and in front of them in a series of stretching exercises. It's the calm before the storm for the baggage handlers at Charlotte Douglas International Airport. Stretching does make a difference, said Laura Sabatino, a physical therapist from American Airlines at Charlotte Douglas International Airport. I didn't realize they employed physical therapists, but that's kind of cool. Nobody realizes how physical the job is. The jobs in the airport industry are. I mean, they're lifting over and over all day. 3 minutes after a plane arrives at the gate, these workers are tasked with quickly unloading and loading passengers' luggage. Everything has to be done in 120 minutes. Otherwise, we don't make our time, said Frank Frasca, a maintenance worker for American Airlines. And the rush is on in Charlotte to get passengers into the air and on to their Thanksgiving plans. The airport, commonly simply known as CLT, which is the airport code, and kind of stands in for Charlotte in general, is they say it's the 9th busiest in the U.S. I think last year it was actually like the 5th busiest, and second biggest hub for American Airlines. Airport officials are expecting to serve more than 130,000 passengers this past Wednesday alone. Nationwide, TSA plans to screen more than 26 million passengers and crew at airport checkpoints, a 5% increase over last year. Many airline employees, like pilots, flight attendants, and gate agents, are regularly seen by flyers, but there are others who are working equally hard over the holiday: baggage and cargo handlers, mechanics, and cleaners. Before most passengers even arrive at the gate, maintenance workers are checking cabin pressurization, air conditioning, electrical, hydraulic systems, and even the tray tables and overhead bins. We'll analyze and decide how much time it takes to fix it, whether or not we have the parts, and we'll fix it if we can, said Brett Ebert, an inspector for American Airlines. Decision needs to be made quickly because there's always another plane coming and the gate may be needed. So basically just a story about, yes, this is the busiest time of year for travel here in the United States, Thanksgiving weekend. The Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving, and the Sunday after, I think, are the two busiest days. So,
because I mean, it's a crazy time of year, isn't it? In fact, actually, I mean, I remember somebody actually saying to me once that it's a much bigger deal for you guys than, say, Christmas is here. I mean, we have our sort of similar sort of thing where Christmas everybody goes away or goes to visit family or whatever. But for you, really, it's Thanksgiving, isn't it? Where that happens.
Yeah, Thanksgiving tends to be the busier travel weekend, just because Christmas and New Year's, I think there's a lot more flexibility in when people actually are taking days off. Thanksgiving holiday, for a lot of folks, they're just off Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So they know they have those 4 days. Everyone leaves on Wednesday. They come back on Sunday, and it's just a big travel nightmare,
big
basically.
travel nightmare, absolutely.
So it says, the story says, Steph, that Americans, one of their biggest bases. I'm guessing that Americans sort of have the monopoly at Charlotte.
They do, and I think you may have found out something about that recently, Carlos.
Yeah.
But yes, they definitely have the majority of the gates at Charlotte Douglas. You know, gosh, I mean, there's plenty of airlines that fly in and out of there. They're kind of relegated to one or two of the terminals, and then American Airlines has like the other three or four.
That's all right. It won't hurt for Carlos to go cattle class once in a while. He'll manage. It's fine. He's a bit used to getting sort of special treatment, this boy, so it won't hurt for him to feel what, you know. We can actually have an interesting Nev's passenger experience out of him if it sort of goes according to plan. So
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, show research, really.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
This is the thing. Yes, go and see how the rest of us have to do it in economy, Carlos.
I only got champers on the way out.
Oh, did you? On the way out?
To Dubai. I only had champagne. I didn't have anything else.
And I suppose we have to blame Father Christmas for that, do we?
No.
No. Okay. Yeah.
It was
whatever.
Mary.
Oh,
Christmas.
dear
Oh, I haven't got the soundboard here.
Oh dear.
Damn.
Yeah. You left your soundboard at home?
No, I haven't. I sold my soundboard. I've got to get a new one.
Oh, hallelujah.
I know.
Oh, I'm
It'll
so
be
happy.
back. It will be back. Trust me, for the Christmas show.
No, don't feel obliged.
Anyway, so moving on to the next story. And a few weeks back, some of you may remember, if you were listening to the show, that we were talking about a certain kind of Chinese-style eBay site that was selling a couple of 747s, really.
As you do.
I know. Well, it turns out that they have sold. They eventually sold in the end the two Boeing 747s planes that were sold on the Chinese online platform Taobao. I think it's Taobao it's called.
Yeah.
For the price of $48 million. The planes were previously owned by cargo company Jade Cargo International, but was seized by a court in the Chinese city of Shenzhen.
What?
And then after they filed for bankruptcy in 2013, they will now be owned by Chinese cargo airline company SF Airlines, who outbid 25 other buyers, according to Chinese state media outlet. Can't pronounce that. That begins with X. The auction gathered over 800,000 viewers. Blimey. The planes have been put up for auction offline 6 times since October 2015, but failed to find buyers until now. Left with no choice, the courts decided to put them up for sale online in September. September we ran the story. That's a few months ago. This is the first time jets have been sold via an online auction in China. Almost all courts in China have registered on Taobao's platform since 2012. Some 330,000 objects from the courts have already been auctioned off for a hefty $69.6 billion. Last year, a Boeing 747 was also listed for sale on eBay for $299,000, though it was not in working condition, with its engines removed and the electrical components having been stripped off. Essentially, it was a shell for sale.
Okay, good.
According to Boeing, a 747 typically sells for at least $386 million. But if you've always wanted to get your hands on a 747, fret not. There is still one Boeing 747 available on Taobao. The court originally came into possession of the 3 airliners, though only 2 have managed to sell.
Sorry, I'm going to interrupt you very briefly there. Sorry, the lovely Liz has just said something that's caught my eye in the championship. She said, I wonder if Don the pre-guy guy did a pre-inspection of the 747s before they were sold.
But he could have actually.
You never know, yeah.
Don, keep in touch.
Yeah.
It's unclear if another auction will be held for the 3rd aircraft, but it still remains listed on Taobao's auction page. So, we've had stories and stuff, and people have probably seen stories where people do buy ex-airliners and use them as homes and garages and stuff like that. So, if you've got the room and you can fit a 747 fuselage in your garden, Nev.
And on behalf of Gemma, Mr. Stebbings, I'm just going to say no. Carlos, that is the word.
Oh.
No, you may not have one.
I did a few weeks back. I did run it by her just to ask if I could have the cockpit of a 737 in the garage.
Why did you even bother? Why?
Yeah.
You already know the answer. You don't.
The answer was my gardening equipment is more important.
Oh, okay,
So,
fair enough. Yes,
yeah.
I think she's probably right. if
I
I'm
wasn't
honest,
going to
yeah.
argue.
No, I
wasn't
wouldn't.
gonna
No.
argue.
Have you have met Gemma, obviously.
Yeah.
Indeed, do as you're told.
Anyway, so moving on to the next story then, and Matt, this one is for you.
Yes, indeed. So this is on the Quartz website, slightly unusual, and the headline is China has flown its first flight to the US, powered partly by used cooking oil. That smells like chips. A little over 2 years ago, China's Hainan. Anyway, we'll say Hainan for the moment. China's Hainan Airlines flew 156 passengers with the help of cooking oil from Shanghai to Beijing. Now, the same carrier, which is already China's biggest private airline by both market size and fleet size, flew passengers much further on cooking oil blended aviation fuel. Hainan Airlines Boeing 787, carrying 186 passengers and 15 cabin crews, took off from Beijing and landed in Chicago's O'Hare International Airport on Tuesday. This was the 21st of November, the first time a Chinese airline conducted an international flight with the fuel. The blend, which is 15% waste cooking oil, or cooking fuel, sorry, it says here, and the rest from normal jet fuel, came from Zenon Refining and Chemical, an oil manufacturer based in eastern China, according to the state news outlet China Daily. The manufacturer is a subsidiary of state-owned oil giant China Petrochemical, also known as Sinopec. A senior engineer with Zenon told state news agency, a word I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce, that the company could collect and process 100,000 metric tons of waste cooking oil from restaurants every year. Cooking oil, a biofuel since it's made from oil seeds, is a cleaner burning power source compared to petroleum diesel, a traditional jet fuel. Using biofuels can cut an airline's carbon emissions by up to 80% compared to using traditional diesel. Biofuels can also be produced from virgin vegetable oil, but in this case, Zenon was using restaurant waste. Reusing waste cooking oil as a biofuel could divert waste from landfills and sewer pipes, where restaurants and cafes sometimes dump it. So the president of Hainan Airlines, who was also the captain of the nearly 13-hour flight, said that the plane ran smoothly and that the overall performance was very stable. Several airlines already operate commercial flights using biofuels or plan to do so soon. United has been using biofuel for regular scheduled commercial flights since last year. In September last year, KLM Royal Dutch Airlines, the flagship carrier of the Netherlands, also announced that it would be operating biofuel flights out of Los Angeles in January. Cathay Pacific, the flagship carrier of Hong Kong, said that it would use biofuels on flights to the US starting in 2019. Something has obviously tickled your fancy there, Carlos.
Yeah, the chat room has been quite interested by this story. Big Ron just said quite a good point, actually, that the chemtrails will smell like chips.
Yes, absolutely.
Because we all love a chemtrail. What do you think of this story, Nev?
Well, there's always they're trying to find new ways of finding alternative fuels, aren't they, for aircraft? Because obviously it's one of the biggest cost, if not biggest cost, of operating a commercial aircraft. So there's always creative things out there, and there's all sorts of things that we might see in the next 10 or 20 years.
That is true.
I
mean, I don't know if because the trouble is like somebody, because obviously this is made from a bio product essentially that can be grown, but of course, but can you imagine? Yeah, okay, in this case but can you imagine the amount of land required to be able to grow the biofuel, to be able to even just keep the aeroplanes in the air, let alone cars and goodness knows what else? I mean, there's only so much land short of populating another planet and turning that into nothing but a massive biofuel. I mean, I don't really know, how much of a future. I mean, it's a great idea, and certainly if you're using waste product, that's got to be better than being in landfill. But surely, to goodness, there just isn't the land available to do it completely on an organic level. I mean, I don't know if anybody has anything to add to that.
Oh no, I was just thinking that's probably why it's going to be, hopefully maybe more of the reuse, recycle philosophy as opposed to having to grow all your own new biofuels. Just makes me think of like Back to the Future, though. You know, we're going to have airplanes with the, big garbage,
the
recycle
garbage
container.
dispenser,
You just stuff your banana peels in there, and it'll fuel the airplane for.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, I've thought for many years that every car should come with a flux capacitor, but that's just my personal preference.
Actually, Glenn Taylor's just said in the chat room that some of the plants they want to use can live in the desert. And there's lots of desert.
That is a good point.
There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, that is a good point. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So
Big Ron is Big Ron.
Is he
Big
on
Ron
form
is
today,
on
is he?
form tonight in the chat room. Big Ron's just said, I bet everyone in the street says, "Ooh, I just fancy a bag of chips" as the 747 flies over.
He goes flying over you.
I'm not opposed to having the smell of fried foods in the air all the time. That sounds kind of good.
Right.
Yeah,
I fear,
as long as they're
French
chicken
fries
nuggets.
and chips.
Yeah, absolutely. I do fear, Jem. I do fear, unfortunately, that Steph, that perhaps you might be in the minority there. I don't know what.
Oh dear.
I love French fries.
Yeah, but well, indeed.
No. We had those for tea, Matt.
We did indeed.
So moving on to the next story, and Nev, this one's for you.
This is from the airlinegeeks.com website, and it's all about the California Pacific Airlines who planned to launch again. And they were recently certified by the FAA as a scheduled air carrier. According to the San Diego Reader, the announcement came on November the 16th at a meeting for shareholders and supporters of the airline. This is one of the first pieces of good news since the airline was proposed back in 2013. The airlines hope to fly to 6 destinations with up to 15 flights daily from its planned main hub at McAllen-Paloma Airport in Carlsbad, California. Planned destinations include Las Vegas, Phoenix, Sacramento, Oakland, San Jose, and Cabo San Lucas, Mexico. The airline, sometimes referred to as CP Air, hopes to be flying by April 2018. Along with the announcement of receiving an FAA certification, the airline also announced that it had purchased Sky Value Airways, a small Denver, Kennesaw, Georgia-based carrier and charter airline. Sky Value Airways serves small Midwestern towns out of Denver and runs charters for the NCAA, Major League Soccer and NASCAR teams. CP Air currently has 5 Embraer ERJ-145 jets and has options to purchase 2 Embraer ERJ-170s. The 145s will feature 44 seats instead of the 50 seats typically seen on this type. This will allow for greater passenger comfort. And California Pacific Airlines was launched in 2009 by businessman Ted Vallis. Original plans to start operation were set for late 2011 but pushed back until the fall of 2012 due to certification delays from the FAA. Due to even more delays from the FAA, review dates for the airline's Part 121 certificate were pushed back until 2014. Following the further delays, the airline returned its single Embraer ERJ-170 to manufacture and reported that employees had been furloughed. Until recently, not much news had come from the airline, but this recent announcement gives the impression that the airline is close to truly taking off. Although the airline has struggled to get off the ground, only time will tell how they will end up doing so on the operational side of things. And according to Ted Vallis, he wants the airline to run like the former Southwest Pacific Airlines, Pacific Southwest Airlines, PSA, and claims that they will not be marketing as a low-cost carrier. In a quote, Vallis said, "We're not a feeder airline. We'll fly people to the destinations and then fly them back home." Isn't that what you do? The airline already looks to have some competition from Elite Airways on the route to Las Vegas from Carlsbad. CalJet by Elite started flights in late September 2017 on a CRJ 700 aircraft. Doesn't that show, though, how, from a commercial point of view, if you haven't got the certification from the FAA or CA or whatever country you're in, it has a major impact on the airline's commercial operation. And as it said in the article, people end up being laid off or the whole operation gets delayed. So it's really critical that you get the certification for the operation.
Actually, I've just looked on to see California Pacific Airlines website, and it's currently under construction.
Is it? Oh, so
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
It's a work in progress, then, very much so.
Is this an airline you've heard of, Steph?
Not the new one, no.
No.
So, but yeah.
I
I don't know anything about it, to be honest. But the old one, the former PSA, I never flew with them or anything, but I'm familiar with them. So.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, I should just apologise for the beeping that's going on in the background. It is, I'm afraid, something that is currently beyond our control in our 17th century location.
Well, it isn't. If we had a
if we had a big
gun.
ladder or maybe an air rifle, that would work.
Yeah, that
quite
would
well.
work. Yeah.
I would tolerate it being shot down right now if anybody has a handy 12 bore. But anyway,
Anyway, moving on. And the next story is for you, Steph.
Yes, and actually, I think some of Nev's points about specific aircraft types or the commercial side of things having the right certifications in place kind of plays well into this, or at least my questions about this article. But I'm going to try and also read this one with the inflection that I think the author was trying to put into some of the into the headline and other things. So this is from the dailystar.co.uk. It says, orders fly in for supersonic 1,687 mile per hour new Concorde, which will fly next year. They're very excited about that. And I think the answer to that is no. Major for a lot of the reasons.
I should just stress that apologies, because anybody in the UK here will know what a quality newspaper the Daily Star actually is. It is. For want of a better word, basically there isn't a single picture on that homepage that I can show, because it's either highly offensive or it's got Piers Morgan on it, and there's many reasons why I don't want to show any pictures involving Piers Morgan. Anyway, carry on, Steph.
Yeah. All right, so this is a quality article.
Very much so, yes.
Yes. Interesting, though. Major airlines are flocking in with orders for a new supersonic airliner faster than Concorde that takes off next year. Nearly 80 orders have been placed for the Boom jet, B-O-O-M, which will take passengers from New York to London in just 3 hours and 15 minutes. The Boom supersonic airliner is also in talks with another 20 carriers, with that number tipped to swell after it featured at the Dubai Airshow.
Now we know why. Now we know why he's picked this story, don't we? Actually, I'm going to interrupt you very briefly there, Steph, because we've actually got we've got the video. There's a video that's attached to it that we have been given permission to play out. So it's only a minute long. So we'll just play it out and see what see what you make of it, make of this article.
A Colorado-based startup company called Boom has revealed a small-scale prototype of its high-speed passenger plane, which has been described as a modern version of the Concorde. The aircraft is reportedly being designed to carry more than 40 passengers and fly at up to 1,450 miles per hour. This rate is considered to be around 2.6 times the speed of current carriers and is projected to cut the flight time from New York to London by half, to about 3.5 hours. One of the partners in the venture is Virgin Group, headed by Sir Richard Branson. Branson has been quoted as saying, "We're excited to have an option on Boom's first 10 airframes." The current scaled-down XB-1 demonstrator model is expected to fly by the end of next year, while a full-scale version is being aimed for service by 2020. The cost of a ticket is expected to be around $5,000.
That really is a lot of money. But, I mean,
Could I say something about all that? So I know a bit of a Concorde nuisance, I know, but Concorde flew at 1,350 miles an hour and did New York to London in less than 3.25 hours at Mach 2. So I don't know who's doing the calculations on this. And obviously, London to New York is a little bit longer because you're going against the wind. But something doesn't quite seem right with this.
You don't think the numbers are up to scrutiny, then perhaps?
Not really.
No. All right. But still, it is in the reason I think why we're sort of covering it is because it is a fascinating concept. And I know I've said this loads of times before. I never really understood I know they were tired airframes and stuff, but I'm amazed that there wasn't a Concorde 2, do you know what I mean, lined up ready to take over, because they never had trouble filling the damn thing. It's not like it was ever flying around empty.
It's all about politics.
Right.
All it was.
But can't one country and one country just do it and no?
Anyway, Steph, carry on with the story.
Yes, sorry, I was just distracted by stuff out of the screenshot there for a moment. Yeah, so the Boom passenger jet.
Let me guess. Father Christmas.
Your guess would be correct.
Yes, indeed. Absolutely.
No, it seems that Taco has been. Dana had a toy for Taco, and he has been methodically destroying it and ripping the stuffing out.
Very efficient.
So this was dropped off.
Very good. Well done, Taco.
Anyway. Carrying on, the Boom passenger jet will hold 55 passengers with a mini version called the Boom XB-1, set for its debut test flight by the end of 2018.
Oh, no. Oh, dear. Look what's happened.
I pay no attention to what's going on behind me.
Okay,
I really,
all right. Yeah,
I
good
have
luck.
no control of any of this.
Yes. Anyway, good luck,
That's it,
Steph.
Steph. Find
Carry
your
on.
place, Steph. Find your place. Here we go.
I didn't know we were doing episode 300 today.
Tomorrow, you're okay. You're good. Reaching speeds of 1,687 miles per hour. So that's actually 200 miles per hour faster than they quoted in that video that you played out. But the jet is tipped to fly passengers across the Atlantic from 2023. Boom Supersonic is now looking for a manufacturing site. I also find it interesting that they actually don't know where they're going to be producing it. After launching the process at a recent air show in Dubai, where they revealed they received 76 orders. That's on my end. Sorry, I don't know what that noise is.
So many jokes. But I'd just like to remind everyone that this is, in fact, a family show, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
Family show. Carry on, Steph. Good luck.
Trouble has turned up.
Yes, I think it might have turned up in
Yeah.
many
Yeah.
forms. Yeah, absolutely.
I might have to lock the door.
Good luck, everyone.
So anyway, they're looking for a manufacturing site. They're hoping to find one in the Middle East, hoping to find a site where they can build 100 jets a year. A stumbling block still stands in the way of the new Concorde, as supersonic air travel is still illegal over the U.S. The ban is in place due to the deafening sonic boom caused by the former Queen of the Skies. I think they've got their reference to the airplane type wrong there. Not sure which Queen of the Skies they're referring to.
Careful.
That was not the
again,
Concorde.
family show, ladies and gentlemen. Family show.
And but they think that ban will be lifted. So tickets will cost the same as today's business class fares, and also claims the sonic boom will be 30 times quieter than Concorde's. So
I'm very sorry. Everybody's saying in the chat room, ignore that man. Legendary Jeff Carlos has put in here, bless him. I don't know what he wants, but there's so many funny things here. It's like one of these. Is Dana operating a retirement home for the bewildered? Richard King is asking here. I think that might be, it might be appropriate. Yeah. Yes. It's still, never mind.
Anyway, that's the gist of that.
So it's safe to say, if they do pull this off, that's what she said.
Yeah, indeed.
It's going to be a fairly interesting aircraft.
It's gonna and do you know the one name that was mentioned during that really made my ears prick up actually was the phrase Richard Branson, because to be honest with you, he does have a reputation certainly here in the UK and I'm sure around the world where
if you want something
doing, he is the man to sort it. So I do think it is. It's the way forward. Actually, Glenn Towner said NASA is working on a quieter sonic boom, which is interesting.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, absolutely. Nev, you're a very charming man, aren't you? Steph is the youngest person there by some 30 years, is what he said.
Well, that's very true.
Yeah, absolutely. So anybody who is listening to the show, I should just warn you that we do have the lovely Dr. Steph here. Unfortunately, they have all gathered at Dana's house, and preparations for the 300th episode APG show is very much underway. So, and they're not letting they keep interfering with her. He says, family show.
I apologize for all of that.
No, that's fine.
Ongoing.
Indeed. Anyway,
so moving on,
yes,
the next story is on the CNNmoney.com website, and the Boeing headline is Boeing's 797. That sounds weird to say that.
Yeah.
Takes a big step forward, becoming reality.
So what happens when they run out of when they get to the
that is a good
799?
question,
What
actually.
happens after that? Is it just the 800?
No, I don't know. So Boeing's new 797 has taken a big leap forward in becoming a reality. The aerospace giant has named one of its top engineers to a leadership team responsible for the formation of what is likely to become its first all-new airliner since the 787 Dreamliner. Boeing has moved company veteran and 777X chief project engineer Terry Beeshold to the new 797's team. The company confirmed, and Boeing has not yet assigned roles for members of the team. Boeing hasn't yet given the green light to build the small twin-aisle airplane, which will seat between 225 and 270 passengers, though the company in September formally created a program office to oversee the possible development. Beeshold is the second executive Boeing has publicly named to the team. The other is the program office's vice president. The jet is truly named the new mid-market airplane, but has already been dubbed the Boeing 797 by prospective customers. The airplane would be larger than Boeing's biggest single-aisle 737 MAX jet, but would not have the flying endurance of its 787 Dreamliner. Airlines want to relieve congestion on busy routes currently flown with smaller jets. Analysts estimate the 797 project will cost between $10 billion and $15 billion to develop, and the aeroplane would not be ready until 2024 or 2025. Beeshold is a long-time company veteran who in 2011 was in charge of developing new tools and processes to significantly reduce the cost of designing and manufacturing airliners. That work was put into action developing the 777X, which is manufactured using significantly more automation than previous Boeing airliners. Now, it'll definitely be interesting to see quite where this aircraft fits in the market, being a small twin-aisle aircraft. It's going to I don't know. It says it's going to fit in between the 78 and the 737. So I don't know. It's going to kind of be like a sort of twin aisle 757, Nev.
Yes, indeed. Every time you say that to me or something like that, I it's just like my school teacher at work saying, "Right, bound. So what do you think about this then?" If I hadn't been paying attention. Yeah, I think there's always lots of what I would call intermediate kind of aircraft required as well, isn't there? And I think that's when they built the 75 and 767s.
Yeah, in fact, actually,
that fitted
Graham
right in the middle of that quite nicely.
Yeah, Graham Haley, sorry, in the chat room is saying sounds like a 757 update, basically, which Glenn Taylor is agreeing with. Everyone else is then commenting on our wonderful smoke alarm. Let's go, Parp. Chip. Yes. We have a new person in the chat room, by the way. Very good evening to Enlan Warren. He says, first time in the chat room, evening all. So, hello. Call me Neil. Hello, Neil.
Hello, Neil.
I need to change my
Whereabouts is Neil?
I don't know.
Is he in the UK? Is he in the world?
I dare say that information will be forthcoming on that matter.
Excellent. So, moving on to the next story, Matt. This one is for you.
Indeed. This is on the, if I can just, I'm good on my own, thank you. Sorry, it's all right. I've got an ad blocker on. It's the fatal mistake.
It's on the AvWeb.
Yeah, it's on the AvWeb is the website. And the headline is Airbus A350-1000 has officially been certified, which is great news. So it's a short story, but the latest model from the Airbus, the A350-1000, is now certified by both the FAA and the ESAA. The company said on Wednesday the airline is a stretched version of the A350XWB airliner. The 1000 features the Rolls-Royce Trent XWB-97 engines, adding more power than earlier versions, as well as main landing gear with 6 wheels. The fuselage is stretched 23 feet, adding space for 40 more seats, and a total of 366 passengers in the standard 3-class configuration. With extra capacity plus an 8,000 is it nautical miles, I assume, NM, is that correct?
Yes.
See, I am learning, get me. The new rate is, I'm so rubbish at aviation, I'm very sorry, everyone. The new airplane is well equipped to handle busy long-haul routes, Airbus says. First delivery is planned before the end of the year to Qatar Airways. Qatar. Anyway, the airplane first flew last November. Since then, 3 A350-1000 flight test aircraft have accumulated over 1,600 flight hours. One of the jets flew 150 flight test hours in an airline-like operational environment to demonstrate its readiness for entry into service, Airbus said. The company says that it has orders in hand for 169 of the aeroplanes, with 11 customers on 5 continents.
It's good news for Airbus, and obviously you were over in Toulouse not so long back with Owen.
I was, yes.
Not far from where the aircraft's being made, and I mean we've seen the A350 XWB is in service with a lot of airlines now across the globe, and this one being the largest of the family. And Liz quite rightly points out in the chat room she can't wait to fly on an A350, and actually. all things aside, I
Yes.
would also like to, as I've flown on the Dreamliner now a few times, I would also like to take a trip on the A350 and just see what how it compares.
Yeah, indeed.
To the Boeing products. So
Very
yeah.
good. Yeah, absolutely.
Nev, on your bucket list for
Yeah,
for flying?
definitely. Yeah, I think those nice chaps at Finnair run an A350 from Heathrow to Helsinki every day, or at least 2 or 3 actually. So I'm going to try and find a way of getting to Finland for a couple of days and see if I can try it out. But sounds a very nice aircraft, actually.
An update from Neil, by the way. Neil, hello, Neil. I'm in Rugby. I can usually be found at Birmingham or East Midlands airports. I run East Midland Airport Spotters and UK Small Airfields Group on Facebook.
How did he find out
help
about
from
us?
others. I don't know.
Oh, how did you find out about us, Neil?
Well,
I don't.
lost the will to live. Usually,
Oh,
is
he
why.
couldn't get to sleep one night.
Yeah,
and found
absolutely,
us
yeah.
on
Be
iTunes.
careful what you ask people for.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah. We might not like the response. Yeah, absolutely. A touch of insomnia one night, and he couldn't help himself. Anyway,
So moving on to the next story, and Nev, this one is for you.
This is on flightglobal.com, and it says that Boeing has started final assembly of the third and smallest variant in the re-engined 737 MAX family. The first MAX 7 flight test aircraft is now loaded into a final assembly position inside Boeing's single-aisle production center in Renton, Washington. The airframer confirmed in a Twitter posting on the 22nd of November. Final assembly begins after a completed fuselage arrives from Spirit Aerosystems. Boeing manufactures the wings for the 737 MAX in a building adjacent to the final assembly hangars in Renton. CFM International ships LEAP 1B engines, which are installed at the end of the final assembly process. The 737-7, with 138 to 153 seats in a 2-class layout, enters final assembly 3 years after Boeing achieved a similar milestone with the 162 to 189 seat MAX 8. That variant entered service in May. In December 2016, Boeing started final assembly of the first 178 to 193 seat MAX 9, which is on track to enter service next year. The airframer is also designing the 188 to 204 seat MAX 10. Though the smallest of the 4 major MAX variants, the 737-7 has the longest range, which is 3,825 nautical miles, which is 7,080 kilometers. And if you think about the range of these aircraft now, with the aerodynamic efficiency and, more important, the engine efficiency, it's incredible the amount of range they've managed to squeeze out of these airframes.
agreed. Yeah, absolutely.
It does beg the question, though, Nev. How many different versions of this 737 are they going to keep producing?
Yeah, I think they've squeezed this. I would imagine this is going to be the last series of variants, because obviously the airframe is extremely old now in terms of its original design. There's been lots of updates and lots of stretches to it, and obviously engine improvement and winglets and all sorts of other bits and pieces and new avionics. But there's only so far they can go with what they've got. So at some stage, I would imagine they're going to have to do a complete redesign and call it something else.
Yeah. It does prove a point, though, doesn't it, Nev, that the 737 has been an absolute win for Boeing.
Completely,
yeah,
absolutely.
Just as well as the A320 has been a massive seller for Airbus.
Yeah,
and I don't think there's anyone in the world, I don't think, who's probably never not flown on a 737 at some point in their lives.
Yeah,
so.
true.
So moving on to the next story, and it's the last story is for you, Steph.
Yes, give me just a moment, because now I've managed to lose it in all of the open. Oh, here we go. I got it.
And actually,
All right,
this is
from
a bit of a feel-good story. This one.
Yeah, and it sounds like there's a video that you wanted to play along with it. Is that right, Matt?
Yeah, am I playing audio as well, Carlos? Or am I
we'll let Steph read the story first.
Okay.
Then we'll play the video after.
Right.
Yeah.
Sounds good. So this is from the independent.co.uk, and the headline is "Passengers Turn Delayed Flight into Airport Terminal Party." One flyer had a guitar and another was equipped with an accordion. What are the odds of that? I don't know. So passengers waiting for a flight in Canada, maybe that has something to do with it, I don't know, made the best of a bad situation by turning their airport delay into a big party. 2 men armed with an accordion and a guitar led a round of songs and dancing at Toronto Airport when the flight's passengers discovered their journey to St. John's would be delayed by around 30 minutes. The crowd sang Gray Foggy Day, Sweet Forget-Me-Not, and Music and Friends, together with a boy as young as 10 joining in. Aww. The party was caught in a series of videos uploaded by Michelle Sacre-Philpott, who told CTV News that the gathering was just Newfoundlanders. I don't know how to pronounce that correctly, and someone's going to correct me on that. I'm sorry. Canadians having fun, enjoying each other's company. Music, culture, that's where our heritage is from, she added. The sing-along has been described as an old-fashioned, Newfoundlander kitchen party. Ms. Philpott said she had received emails from locals who are homesick or away from home telling her that the videos reminded them of Newfoundland. Sean Sullivan, playing the guitar, told CBC News that his friend Sheldon Thornhill, playing the accordion in these kinds of situations, is a regular occurrence. Anytime we're gathered around airports like that, he's often taking out his accordion just out of the blue and starts playing for people, he said.
Fantastic. So what we'll do then is let's just see if I can.
I think after all the news that we've had in the past sort of few months and stuff, bad news this, bad news that, airlines doing this wrong, blah blah blah. It is nice to see that even after everything that's happened this year, that you can still have a bit of fun. Yeah. Even when you're being delayed.
There we go.
Exactly.
It's the audio's not playing, I'm afraid, or is it? Hang on.
Is it playing? We don't know.
Yeah, no, the audio isn't playing, but you can see. Yeah, you can just see the little video anyway. So it's like basically a sort of a feel-good factor. They're busy. It's very sweet, really, isn't it? They're busy playing the accordion.
Oh, it's a shame you can't have the video.
No, I don't know why the audio.
The audio is quite good, actually.
Is it?
Yeah. If you take yourselves over to the independent.co.uk website, there are videos on there on the news story. Passengers turn delayed flight into airport terminal party.
Yeah.
And it's safe to say that it was quite nice music, actually. Bit of an accordion and guitar playing, and Oh, there we go. Bit of audio there.
Well, nearly. Sorry, it's the text letting me down a little bit this evening. It's not quite doing what it's supposed to, but it's as I say, it can't be. Oh, there we go. Oh, it's now it can't stop. That's it. It won't stop now.
He can't get it to stop playing now.
Anyway, we won't go on about that. So it's nice to always end on a feel. It's a bit like the old ITN news. It was the old and finalies, wasn't it?
I'll tell you what, quite a few years.
No, it really won't stop now. I can't stop it.
No. Anyway,
it's all gone horribly wrong. Right.
So leading off from that story,
close, abort.
A few years back, I was coming back through Lucca Airport in Malta to come home, and for those of you who have flown through Malta at Lucca Airport, will know there's a huge grand piano in the departure lounge. And this was a few years back now, and there was a young girl, probably early teens, and she was sitting at the piano playing the piano, and the crowd of people that was standing there just like open mouthed, like wow. It was amazing, and it was real talent. I think it's a good idea, I think, to lighten the mood at the airport. Because airports can be a bit stressful.
Because sort of Thanksgiving is a big thing in Canada as well, isn't it?
Canada. Oh dear.
What?
Honestly.
Yes.
So that is where we bring the commercial news segment to a close.
Have we got anything for the grey things this week?
We have got some grey stuff news coming, especially for Mr. Warner, coming up later on. We've also we've got Nev's passenger experience segment coming up in just a moment. And
so obviously, because I haven't read the show notes, so what's happening next?
You haven't got any show notes. So what I'll do is I'll give you time to get Nev's passenger experience segment ready.
Is that what's next?
Yes, it is.
Okay, good news.
And for those of you who read the show notes that I sent out each week. Well, no. But no, we've got, as I said,
Do
we've
you
got...
send it to listeners as well?
No, I don't send
Oh,
it to
right.
listeners. I should do, really, because at least they'd read the show
Well,
notes.
that's true, yes.
So we have got Nev's passenger experience coming up in just a moment. We've also got the first of the interviews that I took at the Dubai Airshow a few weeks back.
Yes.
Coming up as well, and a bit of military news sort of like in between there somewhere.
Okay.
So if you're ready, Nev, it's time for you to introduce your amazing segment for this week's show.
Thank you very much indeed. Well, of course, we all know what happens when we go on holiday. We'll all have a great time. But of course, sometimes it doesn't go quite according to plan. And there have been situations, Laker and Courtline in the past, where an airline has actually gone out of business and was unable to fly its passengers back home. So the UK CAA and many other aviation authorities throughout Europe and the world have put things into place to help people come back from their holidays should an airline go out of business. And of course, this is exactly what happened with Monarch Airlines. And so I've been speaking to one of my friends who had just that experience. Hello and welcome to another Nev's Passenger Experience segment. Well, this week I'm speaking with a good friend of mine, Bushi Pearson. I've known Bushi for many years while she was working in the broadcast and audiovisual industries, and now she works as a business consultant. Her story is all about Monarch and how she and her daughter were able to get back from holiday after the airline went out of business and the British government had to organise many rescue flights home for the passengers. I began by asking her if she had a good time on holiday despite the difficulties that she faced.
Went to Madeira for a week with my daughter, first holiday without husband. That was fun. And decided to go with Monarch only because the agent at NatWest suggested that was as an alternative and quite a good deal. So we thought, yeah, we'll try that. Flight was great out. Excellent service, very smiley staff. It was really great. In fact, it was quite interesting. I was feeling a bit cold and I asked for a blanket and I was told we don't really have those, but we can let you buy one for £5.
Oh,
and
nice.
that was fine.
Okay.
And actually, I now think I'm probably one of the only people who owns a branded pack, which includes a blanket and a neck rest and things like that. But anyway, it was great, and the flight out was excellent. Holiday was superb. Would highly recommend Madeira. And then I had been watching the news feed and was a little concerned that it was saying that Monarch was possibly going under, but didn't really think much of it, enjoyed my holiday. And then I realised, I saw another news piece that said, yep, that's it. CAA are going to intervene and don't worry, they'll get people home. And I got a call from Atoll, and very nice call just to say, really concerned that you're worried. Do you know what's going on? Do you have any questions? Very nice chap, very clear kind of instructions as to what was going to happen, nothing to worry about, they would get us back. And so I, just thought nothing of it.
And how far into your holiday were you aware that there might be a problem?
Well, I was aware before we left that there was a potential problem, but I really didn't think much of it because, I'd read things that this had happened previously with other airlines. There were things obviously going on with Ryanair, so I didn't really think much of that. It was on day 4 that I started to think, maybe this is going to happen. And it was actually on day 5 that I got the phone call to say, yes, there's an issue. We will get you back home. Don't worry. Continue to enjoy your holiday. We'll be in touch. Watch the website. And, of course, I had been watching the website. I got the call from NatWest. They said, is there anything we can do for you? Are you happy? And I said, yep, that's fine. Atoll have been on the phone, no problem. And then I was watching the website and I was concerned that no updates seemed to be happening on my flight. And I thought, well, that's okay. They said 48 hours before. And then it changed to say 24 hours before we would be notified. And then I thought, okay, maybe I need to consider looking at another hotel because we would need to move from our apartment. I'd checked and they'd said there's no further availability. And I wouldn't have been concerned had it not been for the fact that I had my daughter with me. And, I thought, well, I need to make sure that she's okay.
Yeah.
So I phoned Atoll and I said, can you just give me an update? We're now 10 hours away from flying and there's nothing on the website at all. I'm a bit concerned. And that experience was really quite poor. This girl had obviously had a lot of calls, I'm assuming, when I'm being really kind, and basically said to me I should stay up all night, watch the website every 15 minutes to see whether my flight came up. I should go to the airport even if the flight hadn't come up 3 hours before, and there was nothing further she could do, which then worried me because I thought I'm going to end up arriving at an airport where there are thousands of other people all doing the same thing and not having a clue what's going on. And the advice by the CAA was very clear: do not go to the airport unless your flight details have come up. The flight eventually came up probably at around 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. I think it was something like that. I can't quite remember. And we trotted off the airport, and I have to say the experience was really absolutely fine. And one of the things I will never forget is feeling very proud when we were queuing, not really knowing what's going on, and I saw 3 high-vis jackets appearing, and on the back of them it said British government.
Okay.
And that was the time where I thought, great, we're being looked after.
And was it very chaotic at the airport?
It wasn't chaotic from the point of view of British flights, I didn't think. It was because it's quite a small airport. There seemed to be a lot of other people trying to get back home, who I assumed, maybe wrongly, that it wasn't Monarch. But no, they seemed to be in control. There was an issue with the manifold. No, the manifest. Manifest?
Passenger manifest.
Yeah,
yes.
manifest coming over from Monarch. So there was another delay of about 15 minutes. But they handled that very carefully. They kept us informed. I'd spent extra money on booking specific seats. So when I got to the front of the desk, I said to the young lady, is there any chance of getting a particular seat? And she was great and said yes. So actually, we even got the seats that we'd booked on the Monarch flight, which was great. And it was a very smooth process. There were no issues. Boarding was fine. And we left only 15 minutes later than we would have done with the Monarch flight.
Yeah, that's pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah. And being part of the biggest repatriation back to the UK that the government has undertaken since the war, just, felt a bit special, really.
Yeah. It's such a shame, isn't it, about Monarch? Because everybody I've spoken to, we all know someone that's flown on Monarch, or maybe we've flown ourselves. And I remember it years ago. And it was one of the better holiday package flights, I always thought, and all the staff were always very nice. The crew, the ground crew were great. And did you have that experience as well, going out?
Oh yeah, they were lovely. It was on time. There were no issues at all. The staff were charming. There was a lot of smiling going on. They couldn't do enough for you. The communication was excellent. It was very clear. And what I find frustrating on flights is when you're listening and you have to try and listen really hard to understand what somebody's saying, either because it's crackling or maybe English isn't their first language, and that's sometimes a bit of a struggle. But actually, they were great, and the captain came on and chatted to us, and that was great. I'm sure that captains all go to the same elocution school or something, because they all sound the same, I'm sure. But no, it was a really good experience. So it's a real shame, and I feel very sad for the staff and everybody that's been affected by it. And I really hope they all find jobs, because it's a difficult market out there.
Yeah, very much so. It's very competitive, isn't it? I'm sure. But what a great shame. But going back to previous experiences, what other airlines have you flown with over the years in your professional life as well?
I've flown with Virgin, always great experience. British Airways. In terms of professionally, I haven't done things like Ryanair or EasyJet, but I have done for convenience to family home in Spain with EasyJet and Ryanair. And I don't particularly like them. I wish there was other choice in terms of the location I need to get to. Yeah, I tend to actually stick to main airlines, the big boys. Don't tend to go for smaller airlines generally, so it's quite unusual for me to pick Monarch. But as I say, that was down to the travel agent suggesting it. It was a convenient time.
Good to speak to you again. Thanks for the chat.
Thank you very much.
Find this and other great shows at the Aviation Media Network.
TheVoicesInYourHead.com. The Plain Talking UK podcast is a voluntary project that aims to keep you informed with the latest aviation-related stories from newswires across the globe.
Producing our content does cost money though. If you enjoy our show, why not help us keep on the air by making a donation towards the server and website hosting fees through PayPal. Any contributions would be greatly appreciated.
Are you an Amazon user? If so, why not do your shopping through the link on our website? There's no cost to yourself, and Amazon pay us a small referral fee on qualifying purchases.
To find out more about the show and to meet the team, take yourself to our website www.plaintalkinguk.com,
or find us on Facebook at facebook.com/plaintalkinguk, on Twitter via @plaintalkinguk, or get in touch via email on podcast@plaintalkinguk.com. Thanks for listening.
Flybe 5823, Trent Dane for 23 Manchester, Wizz Air 6X, climb flight level 210, direct to Bretlands Park. United 123, maintain 280 knots. London 2TME, turn right onto Bravo, link, 21 join Alpha, hold at Mora, Speedbird 472, LOC/TME, approach runway 27 left, follow the green stand 544.
That's enough air traffic control for today, Nat. Bedtime.
Have you ever wondered what it would be like to fly a commercial passenger jet? Looked up at the sky and thought, I wish that was me? Well, now anyone has the chance to have a go at flying in a real aircraft simulator. NP Simulations and Flight Experience London, the only official Boeing licensed product of its kind in the UK, offer you the chance to fly anywhere in the world in their fixed-base Boeing 737-800 flight simulator. And that's not all. Ground School London offers many different courses for the up-and-coming pilot looking for a start in aviation. With prices starting at just £109, the sky's the limit. So for the ultimate flight simulator experience, or engaging preparatory courses, including those for schools and colleges, check out the websites at www.london.flightexperience.co.uk and www.groundsschoollondon.com, or call on 020 300 40 616. NP Simulations. Fly your dreams.
As always, Nev, sterling work.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that was really enjoyable talking to Bushi, actually. And but it was good that she and her daughter got back at roughly the right time. She was going to come back anyway.
It was a massive operation.
It was. I mean, it's an awful story, obviously, because I mean, we all know Monaco as a big airline. It was. I mean, it was just awful when that happened.
Yeah.
But it's actually nice to know that when things do go wrong, if you like, that the system works. I mean, hopefully it's never tested, but in this situation it was, and I think, to be fair to all parties involved, it worked very well.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely.
Indeed.
So, Nev, I understand that you had rather a interesting experience on an airliner.
Because you went up north, didn't you, during the week?
I did, yes. On Monday I went to Edinburgh first thing in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning, on a BA 767, rather elderly one, actually. I think it's one of the most, or the oldest ones in their fleet. But they're still keeping the things going. But I just wondered whether Adam Spink, our ATC chum in the tower, happened to be working that day. So I sent him a quick message to say, are you around? He said, oh, yes, I am, actually. But you haven't got a slot time at the moment, but I'll see what I can do.
No.
And we pushed back off the gate at just after 8 o'clock. But inevitably, that time in the morning, as you go tanking down to the other end of the takeoff end of the runway from Terminal 5 at Heathrow, which is a very long taxi.
Yeah.
There's a lot of aircraft in front of us. And but I noticed that we were taxiing at quite a high speed. I thought, that's interesting. I wonder what that's all about. And no sooner as I thought that, we turned on to the runway itself at Alpha 4, which is an intersection departure.
Yeah.
And off we went and jumped the entire queue, which was absolutely marvellous. But even more surprising to me was about 10 minutes into the flight, the purser came up to me and she said, "Oh, Mr. Bounds." I said, "Yes." And Adam
thinking,
obviously
you're in
relayed
trouble.
yeah, exactly. I was concerned at this point. I thought, "Oh, this is not looking good at all."
Yeah.
But she says, "Yes, your friend in the tower says hello via the cockpit, obviously, and the captain thanks you very much for such an expeditious departure," which was really great. And I'm sure Adam broke all the rules in the book. Well, maybe he didn't. I don't know. But we were on a 767. There's lots of lighter weight aircraft behind us, so that probably added another 2 or 3 minutes to their departure time because of the weight.
Wow, that's you see, it's just. I mean, at the end of the day, it's not what you know.
It's
it is
who you know,
isn't it? Absolutely.
Every time. So I've got to say that if I wasn't involved in this stuff that we all do, that would never have happened. So that was absolutely it's a great story to tell.
I must say, one doth one's cap to the legend that is Mr. Spink.
Mr. Spink, well done.
And thank you for ensuring that our fabulous co-host is had a
well looked after.
Yeah, it's a shame they can't help you on the way in, really, isn't it?
Well, that would put you my luck a bit, but
that is a blinking awesome story.
That
well
is a
done.
Wonderful story. We should be dining out on that for weeks, no doubt.
Yes.
Oh dear! I hope I get. Can we all have that treatment?
Yeah, absolutely.
That'd be nice. There you go. Yeah. So we've got a bit of military news just to wrap up. Before we move on to our next interview at Dubai. We've only got a few military stories.
Okay.
But if everyone is ready, Matt.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm ready at this end. Yeah.
Ready.
Let's go.
Yep.
So the first military news story this week is on Flight Global's website, and this one, the headline is Tupolev rolls out first remanufactured Tu-160 bomber. Now this is something actually quite special. I remember seeing one of these quite a few years back at one of the air shows here in the UK. That's quite a few years back. That's when I was really young. And the Tu-60 was last produced in 2008, and the latest example is a key test of Tupolev's ability to restore final assembly. As well as modernising the aircraft with new avionics and engines, it has made extensive alterations to the existing airframe. Russia intends to produce 50 of the new build M2 standard Tu-160s, with serial production to begin in 2023, according to local media reports. Tupolev intends to fly the first new build M2 variant in 2019, which will feature next generation systems and new Kuzdinov's NK3202 power plants. Separately, sister United Aircraft Company Berev on the 18th of November performed the first flight of its A100 airborne early warning and control aircraft. Based on the Ilyushin IL-76 MD-90A, the latest version of the strategic transport, the new development is designed to replace the 1980s era A50. And, seeing this with the huge radome on top is kind of weird,
it's a bit of a beast, isn't it?
Yeah, used to seeing these without a huge radome on top, and that is quite impressive. But I must admit, it's quite good to hear they're replacing the engines on the Tu-160, because I remember seeing one of these, a video of one of these online, and they produce quite a large amount of smoke from the engines. On them.
You don't want smoke.
Never,
because that opens the whole argument about that chemtrail thing.
Oh, the chemtrail, yeah. Never. Have you ever seen the Tu-160, Nev?
I haven't, no, but it's an impressive piece of kit, isn't it? And especially with this AWACS stuff that they've got on it, and it's obviously a very, very well-equipped aircraft. But I was just saying in the chat room, I wish I knew more about military. I'm just hopeless at identifying aircraft. I'm pretty good on the commercial side, but I wish I knew more about the military. I wish I'd been to more military air shows when I was younger as well.
I'm all right.
No, I'm right there with you, Nev. I can't pick out any military aircraft.
We'll have to have a GA section.
We will have to have a GA.
And then have Steph on.
Yes. GA aircraft all day long.
To be fair, though, I can work out. I can spot an A400M.
Oh,
I'm quite good
very
at that.
good, Matt.
I got
Very
the hang
good.
of that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Mainly because whilst at Farnborough, we have lots and lots of things with the legend that is Captain Al. So when we were doing that, what you're right there.
That's a brilliant segue, Matt. Because the next story is regarding Farnborough.
Is it?
Yeah. So the next
are
story.
Are you suggesting that this show isn't just thrown together in some kind of hideous
you
and
occasionally
or haphazard
do
way?
Look at the show notes. So
I can assure you that it is nothing but an accident.
So the next story, next story is for you, Matt.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is on some website somewhere.
Talk Radio.
Talkradio.co.uk, and the headline is Russian military planes banned from Farnborough Airshow.
Banned?
Oh dear. So the Russian military planes won't be included in an airshow set to take place next year in Hampshire. Russian news agency RIA something or other was told by an event organiser that the UK regulator, the Export Control Organisation ECO, that it has implemented certain rules on Russian military planes. There is currently a European Union embargo on moving weapons and military equipment both to and from Russia. Despite this, the organiser added, "We welcome all exhibitors, Russian or otherwise, that fall within these ECO guidelines." Being a major international showcase, Russian participation is really important. She also added that Russian equipment was featured in the airshow in 2016, however claimed this was not military equipment according to Sputnik. Russian companies such as... I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce any of those. But anyway, there's some helicopters in there somewhere. And they were involved in the show. The Farnborough Air Show is one of the largest in existence and will run between the 16th and 22nd of July next year. So,
do you know? I
mean, because there was definitely some Russian stuff there, wasn't
there?
But
I mean, it's a shame, really, because it's probably all political at the end of the day, as everyone knows. Yes. And it's a shame because
he's not in everyone's good books at the moment.
I know,
it has to be said.
But I saw a display team a few weeks ago that I've never seen before, the Russian Knights.
Oh, okay.
And they displayed at Dubai, and I have to say they were really good.
Really?
Yeah, the Russian Knights put on a really good display, and
it's a
shame that they won't be.
Mind you, Farnborough's not a military show, so that may be more. It may be more something you perhaps see at Riyadh if passes could be.
Riyadh would.
I mean, it would be more appropriate at Riyadh, perhaps, but
yeah. Well, Steph's been to Farnborough.
She has.
Yeah,
yes,
I have.
Yeah. As is.
I can almost even pronounce it correctly.
Farnborough. Yes, it's very easy.
Where is it, Steph?
Farnborough.
Where is it?
Farnborough.
Yay!
Very good.
Close. All right.
It's basically farm and then it's chili. So it's Farnborough. That's the way you pronounce it. Farnborough. Anyway,
so Nev, the last story, and this one is a bit more. I think this is a bit more attuned to Steph's.
It is a bit,
form
yes,
of transport, I think. Yeah,
because she likes even if there's nothing wrong with the aeroplane, she will still fall out of it.
Yes, people that jump out of completely serviceable aircraft,
which I've never understood. No,
it is beyond me. But nonetheless,
I'm not sure how we've become friends then.
Well, there you go. But I'm certainly in awe of the people that do it. That's for sure.
That's one way of putting it.
This is on the forces.net website, and it says that scraping ice off your car and wearing your warm coat are signs that winter is near. So how does a couple of months training in California sound?
Oh, yes, please.
Every winter, adrenaline junkie Royal Air Force personnel spend time at Skydive Elsinore, thank you, near Lake Elsinore in the United States, being put through their paces. However, not all of them will make it to become bona fide Falcons. Forces Radio BFBS Richards Hatch and Verity Gear spoke to Flight Lieutenant Dave Sellers, who is currently at Lake Elsinore in California for winter training to discover what it takes to become an RAF Falcon team member. It's good fun, but it's mentally tiring, he says. The guys have understanding partners back home who realise it's part of the job, but it's a busy 3 years when they're going to be away quite a bit. And each RAF Falcon serves for 3 years, which means that there's a mixture of expertise in the team as older members leave and the newbies arrive. The job requires a lot of concentration and the team have to leave their families at home, so training is not just fun in the sun. And during their time with the Falcons, each team member will accumulate 1,000 jumps, many of which are on training detachments worldwide. Based at RAF Bryce Norton in Oxfordshire, not far from where I live here, the RAF Falcons are one of the top military display teams that grace events all over Britain and Europe throughout the year. And as they come into land after their colourful and courageous aerial displays, they're only 15 feet apart and still travelling at 50 miles per hour. Any civilian who loves parachuting could not be blamed for feeling envious, but the hours are long and there is stiff competition. And the RAF Falcons have been jumping out of planes in front of the public for more than 50 years. The team was originally founded as a display team in 1961 by 6 instructors from the Parachute Training School to RAF Abingdon: Flight Lieutenant Hearn, Flight Lieutenant Thurtle, Flight Sergeant Maloney, Sergeant Peacock, Sergeant Robinson and Sergeant McLaughlin. What do you think about that, Steph? That 1,000 jumps, that's really going some, isn't it?
That is a lot of jumps, isn't it?
Over 3 years. I mean, yeah, that's a decent number for 3 years. Yeah. And you have to figure they're doing quite a bit of training jumps in addition to actually doing their performance demonstration events as well. So, yeah.
Have you jumped out of an aircraft lately, Steph?
I mean, there's certainly plenty of. Huh?
I was going to say, have you?
I'm trying to think. When was the last time I was out there? It was. Sorry.
I was just going to say, have you jumped out of a perfectly serviceable aircraft lately?
Oh, I was trying to think how long it's actually been.
All right.
It hasn't been that long. No, it's been. I just lose track of time anymore. Probably
that'll be your
3 weeks.
Yeah.
3 weeks ago.
Do you keep notes, Steph, of how many jumps you've done? Do you like to keep a diary?
You keep logbooks and you keep track of the jumps that you've done and what you've done on jumps and how much free fall time you've accumulated and all kinds of things, because at least how it works here in the US, there's different levels of licenses, and to attain the next license level, basically it's A, B, C, D, you have to meet certain milestones and requirements, and you have to have written proof of that. So sure.
Incredible stuff, really. It's. I mean, I get what people see in it. I get why it's so exciting to everyone. It's just not something I could do. It's like I've only just got used to the idea of being inside one, let alone jumping out of them.
You don't think you'll ever have a go at it, Matt?
No, I don't think so. Many reasons for that. One is my size, because it's like I would still have to lose basically half of what I am now to be able to qualify to be allowed to go on a tandem jump. But
I've always wanted to have a go.
Yeah, there are some requirements for tandem jumps, but
absolutely.
I could do a quick plug for the place where I do my skydiving. They're running a Black Friday special today, so if anyone thinks they might be in the South Carolina area over the next year and wants to do a tandem jump, let me know and I can get you the details to get the. There's a significantly discounted deal on tandem jumps going on for the next 4 days, so I'd be happy to get you that information if you're interested.
Nev, is this something you want to have a go at?
Years ago, I thought about it, but I don't know. There's something about it. It just feels rather unnatural. I've not got a fear of heights at all, but I did used to have many years ago. But it's just not on my bucket list.
It doesn't fit into the radar at all, does it? Really, but. Oh dear! I must say, I'm laughing a little bit. A fascinating photograph has just arrived here on my mobile phone.
Yeah, I have just received the same photograph.
Yes, absolutely. Nev, what are you up to? It's just, it's great to see. I don't know if I was trying to
show the chat room here.
I can't. Yeah,
apparently the DJ has arrived for the APG 300 show. Those of you watching on YouTube will be able to see. The DJ has arrived. The DJ has arrived for the 300 show. So,
very good news, absolutely.
Looking
great
good
news
there.
Indeed.
Looking
I
good.
think so, absolutely. I can't see that that's going to be a problem.
Well, have a good day at work, Philip Davis. Have a good day at work.
Is he off to work?
He's off to work.
Right, now we have a new segment to play for the next couple of weeks, which is quite exciting, because I don't know if anybody had noticed, if you've been stuck under a stone, sort of hibernating or something, then you won't know anything about this, and you'll be the only person on planet Earth who doesn't. But Carlos went to the Dubai Airshow last week, not last week, but the week before, didn't you?
I did, yeah. And I managed to get 3 really great interviews with some of the pilots and team there. And the first one this week is the first one I took of the day. And this is with a flight instructor, a chief flight instructor at the Emirates Flight Academy. And had a good chat with him standing right next to the Cirrus SR-22. And we're going to play that for you right now. So it's my first interview then at the Dubai Airshow 2017, and I'm standing next to a Cirrus SR22 G6, and I'm here with Mohammed. Now Mohammed, what's your role here with the aircraft?
Hi Carl, good morning. I'm a flight instructor here with the Emirates Flight Training Academy. So we're opening up tomorrow. Tomorrow is the official opening, and I'm going to be basically an instructor for now on the SR22.
Great. So tell us a bit about your flying career then, Mohammed. Where did things start for you with flying?
So I basically got my PPL from Jordan, and then I moved on to the UK back in 2012 approximately. I got my CPL, my IR, and my FI rating all in Coventry. I've done some flying all across England, a bit in the Wales, still haven't gone to Scotland though. Anyways, right after that I moved back to Jordan. I instructed in Jordan for a couple of years. I did some instructing with the Tunisian Air Force for a while, and now I'm here in Emirates. I've been here with them for a couple of months now.
Great. So the flying out here, obviously in the UK we do have a problem with the weather, but obviously here in Dubai the weather is pretty much brilliant all the time. What's it like flying over such a hot and humid country?
From my experience with Jordan, it was exhausting during the summer, somewhere between June until September. It peaks at around 45 sometimes in the afternoon. The throttle, I used to fly a Diamond, so on the Diamonds the throttle is metal, so it would literally be too hot. You can't even put your hand. We used to get a cloth that's wet, just so we can use the throttle initially. Now here with the Emirates, they've tackled that issue. So first thing is that we have an AC on the aircraft. It's fully air conditioned. And the second thing, while the aircrafts are resting on the ground, we actually have ground AC units that pump cold air into the aircraft for the whole duration that it's on the ground. So you never actually get in the aircraft with it being hot at any time. It's always going to be around 24 degrees Celsius, that is.
A lot warmer than the UK.
Definitely, yeah.
So tell us a bit about the training academy then. What does the academy do here in Dubai?
So the academy, the course is based on just your basic integrated course where the student starts in from zero, and then we move him up into getting his CPL IR. So that's the backbone of the course, but we've done a couple of changes. So instead of the integrated course being somewhere around 215 hours, we're at 310 hours. So the student finishes up with the 310 hours. They start off with us, they do the assessment tests, and based on that they either take an English course, maths or physics course, based on their levels. After that they take like an introductory course for the ATPLs, and then they move on to doing their 14 subjects just like with any other regulator. Once they're done with that, they move down to flight school. Now flight school is where the difference is. So they start out on the SR22, they do their CPL and their IRs on a single engine aircraft on the SR22. Once they're done with that, we move into a bit more line-oriented flying. So the first step after that is they move on to the multi-engine. The multi-engine is an Embraer Phenom 100, so that's a jet engine. So you got people moving on from a single engine piston to a jet, to a multi-engine jet. So they do their multi-engine training on that under IR, and they get their multi-engine IR. Now after they're done with that, they do a bit of obstetric prevention and recovery training on a single engine aircraft. And once they're done with that, we have something unique for Emirates. We do line-oriented flight training. So they go up in the Phenom, but they would be doing multi-crew flying. Okay, so it will be a pilot flying and a pilot monitoring, and we would have a cabin crew with them simulating that there are actually passengers in the back. And then we'd have different scenarios where they actually train on. And once they're done with that, they will be done with Emirates Flight Training Academy, and they would move on with the airline to continue their training.
Wow, so it's quite a lengthy process then, is it?
Yes, it is. They're taking their time with their training. Yes, that's for sure.
So in the UK, we all know that the cost of learning to fly is high. The prices in the UK for a PPL pilot are very high, around about 100 and 150 pounds an hour for flight training. What are the prices like for, say, the training academy here in Dubai?
So the company hasn't given us any figures because at the moment we're only taking Emirati students for Emirates Airlines. So all students are sponsored through Emirates Airlines, and all financial matters are dealt with internally. So we still haven't given out any figures for how much we're going to be charging for self-sponsored students, and at the moment we're still not open for applications from self-sponsored students. Whenever we have any updates, we'll probably post it on our website.
Oh, that's great. So tell us a bit about the SR-22 then we're standing next to here. What's this aircraft? What's it like to fly?
So it's a fully composite structured aircraft. You have a 310 horsepower engine, so that's very powerful. It can go up to around 22,000 feet. It's non-pressurized, but you can always have an oxygen tank with you. So this specific model, we actually have a night vision camera on it. We have a full glass cockpit inside. As I've said, it's fully air conditioned. It has a full autopilot, and we have a CAPS system, which is something specific to Cirrus. So the CAPS is a Cirrus airframe parachute system. So if anything goes wrong, you pull in the parachute, you go down safely, and you live another to tell the tale.
But you've never had the chance to pull that?
Hopefully, I don't want that chance.
You don't want that chance. But it saved a lot of lives.
Yes. We during our training with Cirrus, they've showed us a couple of statistics, and to be honest, the parachute seems like a life changer. I mean, there were a couple of incidents where there was this one guy, he was going back home. He actually uses the Cirrus to commute home from one state to another. He was going back home after sunset, so it was completely dark, and he had an engine failure. So, you know, for anyone who has flown a single engine aircraft, engine failure at night in pitch black is one of the most dreaded things. So the guy, he simply pulled on the caps, he floated down, and he lived to tell the tale.
Amazing. So the Cirrus, you say it's got the glass cockpit. Now I'm used to Cessna 150 with steam gauges, as we call them. How easy is it to read? Because you've obviously got all the information on a glass screen. How easy is it to read all that information on the screen?
So basically, glass cockpit, it's not going to take you a long time to get used to it. Maybe the navigational section, part of it, yes, it would take you a while. But from the primary flight display's point of view, it's basically a six-pack. So you got your HSI at the bottom, you got your attitude indicator up above it, and just to the left and the right, you've got your airspeed indicator and altimeter. So it's not going to take you a while. It's probably an hour in the aircraft, and you'll subconsciously get used to it.
Oh, fantastic. So, Mohammed, do you get a chance to fly any other aircraft at all, or have you flown any other aircraft as well?
Yeah, from a single engine point of view, I've flown a lot. I've flown everything from MOL aircrafts, so they are specifically short takeoff and landing aircrafts, all the way to extra 300s. So when it comes to single engines, I believe I'm quite experienced, but I still haven't moved on to anything else beyond single engine.
So what's the future hold for you then, Mohammed? What do you want to progress on to? Possibly the something larger, like behind us?
Hopefully.
With Emirates, for the airline?
Definitely, if there's a chance, why not? Emirates is a great company to work with, honestly.
And it's a great airline to fly on as well. From a passenger experience, definitely, yeah. So, Mohammed, I want to thank you very much for your time on the show today. It's been absolutely great to speak to you. And any words of for the encouragement for the young people back at home who want to learn to fly?
Just keep working on it, guys. It'll take some time, but eventually, trust me, it's well worth it.
Mohammed, thank you for your time.
It was nice meeting you too. Thank you.
Thank you. You know, it's really good speaking to Mohammed. And we were talking quite a bit before we actually started the interview and stuff, but yeah, it was. He had quite a queue of people sort of around wanting to have a chat.
That was an awesome interview, actually. It was really, really good, really interesting to hear about his experiences and the stuff that he's flown on.
I think it's always a shock when when you talk to someone in somewhere like that in Dubai who learned to fly in the UK.
Yeah. I mean, normally they go somewhere else for that because nobody else can afford it.
But no, I mean, it was. I mean, he was a lot younger than me. But yeah,
that's not hard, I'm afraid.
I know. Well, they are. But that was. I hope you all enjoyed that. That was the first interview.
Yes, and we've got a couple more of those to look forward to.
Yeah, absolutely. The next one, which is coming up hopefully next week, is quite a rare one. It's featuring a very obscure aircraft that not many people have heard about or seen. So that will be good for next week.
Very good.
So we are going to wrap up the show now, but we have hopefully got a gaggle of APG hosts who want to do a little bit of shameless promotion for a certain 300th show.
Because obviously they need all the help they can get, of course, because they're always so short of listeners.
I know. So we're going to hand things over. I don't know where we dare do this, Matt. We're going to hand things over to our lovely guest host this evening, Dr. Steph.
And I'd just like to say that this was Carlos's idea, so I can take no blame for what is about to happen right now.
But, look at those scary faces.
So he very kindly asked if we'd like to give a little promotion for our show, our little show that's happening tomorrow, episode 300. So I brought these lovely gentlemen into the picture so they can say
it really is a rose between several thorns, isn't it?
What could possibly go wrong?
No, I can't see that.
I don't know, they're all speechless at the moment.
Yeah.
So,
what's the
anyway?
Eating, is that why?
What are we doing tomorrow, guys? What's
So if you're not doing anything tomorrow and you want to hang out with a bunch of creepy people, you can head over to APG. We're celebrating what number again?
300.
300.
Yeah.
It's going to be a big party.
Yeah, brave people. Lots of food, lots of drink, but you won't get it because you'll be watching online.
Decide what time we're actually starting tomorrow?
No.
But then why change the habit of at least 300 shows? Let's be honest. It's just,
So what do you suggest? 2:00?
I think you should start, Jeff. I think you should start the show using Blab.
I would if we still had it.
No, fair point. So do you have much planned for the? What are there any sort of little sneaky?
Nothing.
Right. Okay.
It's gonna be a regular show, regular boring show. Gonna talk about news, feedback. That's pretty much it.
Jeff, the one thing I will say about your show, I can guarantee it is never ever boring. There is always so much going on. So it's.
There will be a plain tale.
Oh yeah, that.
There'll be a plain tale.
There will be a plain tale.
Yeah,
Oh, good. Absolutely.
Apparently, they're the glasses that Dana wears when he's having a sleep on the flight deck.
Is it right?
And that was a passenger experience. I think. Oh no, wait, that's not my show. That's your show.
Hey!
We weren't supposed to mention that, Jeff.
No.
There are some secrets for the show.
Yeah,
So it
there
sounds...
may be some things going on that I don't have any idea about.
No. Really? This is
But anyway, so we've roughly decided on 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. So I have no idea what time that is. UTC, someone help me.
It's 14 plus 5, 19Z.
Yeah.
19Z. So there you go.
Absolutely.
And we will see you all then, and hopefully some of you in person. Huh?
And then Dana thinks maybe we should start earlier, but we'll just look. We'll put out a tweet tomorrow morning. APG crew.
Yeah. So obviously, to get hold of the legend that is the Airline Pilot Guy, obviously it is airlinepilotguy.com. And if you want to tweet the group directly, of course, their handle is at airline. Is it APG Crew, isn't it?
APG Crew.
APG.
Yeah.
That is
Crew.
it.
And that is. Make sure you're following that, obviously, because they will then tweet about 4 hours before they start, usually, of when the show is going to go.
Actually,
about 4 minutes before we start.
Right.
So.
have to ask actually, Dana.
Don't do anything tomorrow. Just be ready for.
Just clear your diary, everyone. Empty
schedule.
your diary.
Yeah,
absolutely.
What has Dana let himself in for? Letting all these strange people.
Come on.
He's going to be sorry.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, he's
This house is designed for partying.
Right. Okay. Yeah, well, it's about to be tested to the max, I fear. But anyway.
No, it is. This is going to be small compared to what I throw.
So seriously, from all of us here, and I'm sure I'm speaking for everyone who's listening and watching right now, I hope. We will all be watching. I know that for a fact. Congratulations on a ridiculous.
You got to flight over.
I've got to work, unfortunately. But anyway,
Catered for you. What do you mean?
Unfortunately, my budget's being blown on a trip over to see Steph next year.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, he's not kidding about that either.
No, I'm not kidding about that either. No, I'm having to remortgage the cat. That's how bad things are.
Well, Poppycat is a very expensive commodity. There's no two ways about that.
Yeah.
But no, seriously, from all of us here, guys, congratulations on a ridiculously mammoth 300th. It's come around so very quickly. It only seems like yesterday you were celebrating your 200th.
I'm going to eat a very English bourbon cream in celebration of your 300th
What a
show.
real
There we
honour.
go.
Not a whole one.
A real English bourbon cream.
Absolutely. So,
As an ignorant American, what is a something cream?
A bourbon
cream
biscuit.
cream?
Absolutely. It's a chocolate biscuit, basically.
Traditional English biscuit, Dana.
Okay.
So it's got a biscuit layer on either side with a sort of like a chocolate cream biscuit inside. It's a bit like a custard cream, only chocolate. Basically,
similar to that,
bourbon. Yes, not very interesting. I appreciate, but yes. So that is where we're going to wrap the show, guys. Obviously, make sure you're watching or listen to. I'm sure there will be an amazing podcast that follows the 300th episode. And if anybody's seen look at that Taco! Oh, look, there we are, the legend that is Taco.
Hey Dave, how are you?
Yeah, right. Okay. Wow, that was scary. Taco's got an alarming voice.
I've never heard his voice before.
Where are Dana's hands again? No, sorry, that's suddenly turned into a puppet.
Jeff's drinking beer already.
Is he? Well, of course, it's sometime past the week. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. Anyway, yeah, absolutely. Anyway,
it's a holiday.
Nev, are you still there?
I am. Yes.
Any last words, Nev?
Yeah, I'm sadly I can't be there this weekend due to financial embarrassment, frankly.
Absolutely.
But I just hope everybody has a great time there, and I know what a special time it's going to be, especially as it's over the Thanksgiving weekend as well, which I know is a very special time for everybody in the US. So have a great time, guys, and stay safe, whatever you do.
Stay sober, I think is the magic, but that's not going to happen. Listen, guys, I just have to
no drinking and walking.
No, I just have to make special mention, please, to my wonderful boss, because if it hadn't have been for the people that I work for, the Sarah Brown Cards, whose website I'm now just going to put up on the YouTube channel. That is a website I created, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. But yes, if it hadn't have been for the lovely Sarah Brown Cards, this show wouldn't actually be happening today, because unfortunately Carlos has got some broadcast issues at home, so we've had to migrate here. So apologies for the chirp through that, because our fire alarm decided to malfunction towards the end.
And you can probably see me wearing this jumper in here. And it's not because it's cold in here, because actually it's really warm in here.
Yeah.
But actually outside at the moment here,
it is now below freezing.
It is below freezing.
Yeah,
it is very, very cold.
Absolutely. So that is where we bring episode number 192
to a close. Don't forget to look us up on Facebook, look us up on Twitter, and send us some voice feedback or emails to the show, either via the website, or you can send an email to podcast@planetalkinguk.com. So also, before we go, we will just make a quick mention that we do have one space left for the 200th show next year in London at the simulator. That's one space left, for the show. If anyone's listening in the UK or across the globe and wants to travel to London on the 20th of January next year and join us in the sim and have a go at flying somewhere around the world. And also, we have set a date for our Christmas show as well, which is going to be on Thursday, the 21st of December. That will be our Christmas extravaganza show, and we are going to have a large amount of special guests for that show as well. And
in fact, so large we might end up doing it back here at the bar.
we might have to have 30 Skype
indeed,
laptops.
yes. But we like to give Matt as big a headache as possible over Christmas, because he's not allowed to enjoy himself.
And also next week we will be announcing the Christmas competition.
Yes,
we've got some amazing prizes up for grabs for that, and we've got a little list of questions that we're going to ask you guys and to send your answers into, with a chance to win some really good prizes.
So before we wrap up then, any last words from the APG crew who are all assembled in the lovely Dana's house?
Bye! See you tomorrow! Hasta luego.
Right, okay. Good, splendid. From all of us here in the studio, it is time to say goodbye. Everybody say goodbye!
Bye. Have a great weekend, guys!